September the 15th, 2023. Guys, you're looking at current satellite images of now Category 1 Hurricane Lee. Now, I've been looking at some of the webcams along the beaches. Nothing's too rough yet. You got some 9-foot seas they're reporting out there, 9.7-foot, things like that. I did notice a lot of people with a sweatshirt and hoodie on, so it must be a little cooler there with all this wind coming in further up north there. But one of the unique pictures this morning, I think, is this outer band. Notice this, as the sun rises and this front's coming in off from shore, moving offshore, it's standing up this edge of the storm. Check that out. You can see the shadow right there in the last frame because the sun's rising to the right or from the west. Look at that wall right there. It's amazing. Now, pretty much on track to move right up into Nova Scotia, somewhere right in that area on the border with Maine and New Brunswick. And again, Category 1. And guys, Bermuda is past the worst of it. I saw their webcam that we were looking at yesterday. It's still plenty of wind going on and everything, but they're starting to come out, get a little bit of sunshine this morning. That's a good thing. They're going to be looking at another storm here in a few days. But this storm is still predicted, again, to move pretty much straight north from this point. Let's take a look at the modeling. Again, this is a large storm. Look how wide the tropical storm force winds are. Bermuda, you're still in tropical storm warnings, even though you're starting to pull out of the storm. Then your hurricane speed winds are right in here, probably 300 miles or so wide, very close to that. Moving up by tonight at 2 a.m. Saturday morning, put it that way, 2 hours after midnight, the storm's here. 2 p.m. Saturday should be coming ashore on the very western tip of Nova Scotia, right there. Again, it's slowing down. Cat 1 can still be dangerous. You can lose power. You can have flooding. Looks like there's going to be a lot of rain through this area. And the models are showing it peeling straight out back into the Atlantic for you guys over in the UK. But the blue lines indicate tropical storm warnings. The pink lines that underlay this are hurricane watches for this entire area from central Maine all the way again to the western tip of Nova Scotia. Winds are at 85 miles an hour, Cat 1, moving north quickly at 16 miles an hour. And so, guys, just don't forget, you're going to get a breather here for Bermuda and parts of the Northeast, but this storm following, you've got a 90% chance of formation in 7 days. Showers and thunderstorms have become better organized in association with a broad low-pressure area located about midway between the Cabo Verde Islands and the Lesser Antilles. Environmental conditions remain conducive for additional development, and this system is expected to become a tropical depression within the next day or so while it moves west, northwestward to northwestward at 10 to 15 miles per hour across the central Atlantic or tropical Atlantic. For additional information on this system, including gale warnings, see the high seas forecast issued by the National Weather Service. Now, all the models, guys, are coming together again. This is the Canadian model. Here's Lee coming in. Here's Margot. Now, it's showing this secondary storm that's coming up now moving to the right of Bermuda. You got a storm moving out into the Pacific Ocean, and you also have a couple of storms forming down below here. Check this out. Here's one. There's the secondary storm been watching, but here and here, again, we're right in the middle of the peak of hurricane season. You've got 2 more storms headed this way. So we're not through with it, but you can kind of take a breather on a lot of the northeast coast. You're going to see some wind and rain and things like that. But now, when you get up in here to Nova Scotia, guys, you're going to be dealing with a Cat 1 hurricane. You don't see them that often, but I think the last few years we've seen more and more start to turn in your direction. But all you guys up in there in Maine, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, north of there, be very careful and take all the precautions that you need. Get your little extra water, get your weather radios on, especially if you got batteries for them. Make sure they're in good shape. Charge up your phones. And if you lose power, it's always a good idea to fill up all the extra pots and pans with water that you can drink out of. Fill up your tubs with water that you can use to flush with, things like that. Just good common sense preps. You could lose power a couple of days. Make sure you got the extra food you need. Gas up your car. Check your generators. anything that will give you a little bit of help during the storm. Again, it's not going to be a Cat 3 coming in on you. That's a great news. But a Cat 1, now at 85 miles per hour, when it gets up and starts to come ashore, it looks like it's going to slow down to about 70 miles an hour. Still, you've got that front inertia out there, and at least we're dealing with a Cat 1 now. It's not like what we saw come into the panhandle of Florida, or just south of the panhandle of Florida a few weeks ago. They're still recovering from that, but this is what we got, guys. Our tracking is pretty much over. We're going to keep an eye on it, and I'm going to give you updates as we see the storm get closer up into the main area. We'll get some webcams going and see what it looks like. But right now, this is what we have. Everyone pay very close attention to it if you're in the path of this storm. It's a heads up, guys. We're watching it. You watch it. Be safe.